Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Hecklin Hollywood. I am your host, Tom. Jack is currently rolling a cigarette.
Currently,
Don't.
can you speak?
Why did we decide to do a program that's entirely about talking clearly and setting out instructions and then have me in it? Because I don't think I've ever said a sentence 100% correctly. But
I know, Tom, because I edit these.
yeah,
I'm aware.
Jack, don't you get started.
What? What's happening? What are we
You
doing?
told me to hit record and then immediately, pretty much leaned away from the mic being like, I'm not doing this.
Okay, so, Tom, I am going to be like my hero, J. Robert Oppenheimer, who would smoke 100 cigarettes a day. I'm going to best that record, and for the next 90 minutes,
Yes.
I'm going to smoke 100 cigarettes.
I'm already calling bullshit.
I'm calling bullshit on myself. I think I'm going to choke after the third
you're
one.
not going to get past 3.
In the whole podcast?
In the whole podcast. 3.
Just for that, I'm gonna go to 4.
Oh, really?
I'm just gonna spite you and go to 4.
Oh, that's great. Viewers, I hope you enjoy the last 10 minutes of just Jack coughing because he wants to prove a point.
Oh, it's gonna be great.
It's going to be great.
It's gonna be great.
There you go. Roll the intro.
Roll the intro. Ah!
Hey, Barbie.
This is a national
Can I come to your house
emergency.
today?
Sure.
Didn't
I don't
get
have anything big
charged.
planned, just a giant blowout party with all the Barbies and the planned choreography and a bespoke song. You should stop by.
So cool.
Yeah.
Tom, we're here to talk about a cultural event that is unlike anything that has been seen in decades. And no, I'm not talking about the writer's strike. No, I'm not talking about the actor's strike. I'm talking about the fact that Warner Brothers decided to release Barbie and Oppenheimer in the same weekend for some reason. And the internet has gone gaga over it.
I'm surprised how crazy the entire internet decided to go because this felt like a dumb enough coincidence. And then as soon as people realized, oh my God, I can wear 2 different outfits and switch between them in the movie theater, this is suddenly like comedy gold for people. And they're like, I gotta do it.
Well, whenever they figured out 15 years ago, whenever Dark Knight and Mamma Mia came out in the same day, I don't know about you, Tom, because me personally, I was a little baby. I was a little kid. I was a baby. I didn't see anybody dressing up in like summer dresses and the other half of their outfit being the Batman armored costume. I don't know.
I think it was a wasted opportunity then.
I think that would have been a much
I think
more
they need to
extreme
bring it back.
opportunity. What released the same weekend as Mamma Mia? Here we go again. The Incredibles 2? That would have been a great.
That would have been a good one.
That would. I think we're both thinking of like.
Spandex and Cher.
There we go. The drag would have been excellent.
It would have been beautiful.
The half drag. Shut up, Siri. Siri's always.
Is that one of your recent searches,
She's
Jack?
always trying to find things. Ah, yes, Mamma Mia, Dark Knight cosplay
Half
together.
drag.
Half drag. Oh yeah, no, a half drag of this cigarette right here. My first one.
Yes.
We're going for it, folks.
We're officially renaming the podcast Half in a Drag.
Half of a drag. Oh, that's way too close. We're gonna get sued by those Milwaukee fucks. Oh no. All right, Tom. What are we talking about first? Because we're definitely going to talk about Barbie and Oppenheimer. But which one should we talk about first? Should we go in the order that you watched it, or the order that I watched it?
What order did you go?
I saw Oppenheimer first, and you saw Barbie first.
Oh, okay. No, I'm all for doing Barbie first.
You want to watch? You watched Barbie first, so you want to do Barbie first.
Yes.
Sorry,
I think that's
Tom
good.
wants to talk about Barbie first. I shouldn't say those collection of
You gotta
words.
use your language.
I gotta use my language.
You gotta
which
enunciate.
Tom, I'm Irish. I lack the language skills necessary for a podcast, but screw it. We're doing one anyway.
If we talk fast enough, the Americans won't understand. Just like and subscribe anyways.
Americans say what?
Americans say y'all.
Americans say y'all. Y'all.
Y'all.
Y'all. Can we get a Barbie y'all?
Water. How did I get more Irish in my fucking...
I got water.
Water?
Bottle of water. Tom.
Yes.
Tell me what Barbie's about.
Barbie is about being a woman.
That's it. We're done.
Yeah, I couldn't really get much further than that.
So would you say that Barbie is definitely made for a couple of men in their mid-20s?
Yes, we are the key demographic and we are the key personnel with our background experience, our life upbringing, and our personal views and perspective on life. I'm already falling apart.
Tom, tell me your opinion on Barbie as a straight white man.
It was good.
You enjoyed it?
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Tom, what was your favorite part of Barbie? The movie that's really they're trying to make Barbie a feminist icon. What was your favorite part of Barbie the movie? What was your favorite part?
My favorite part was whenever I thought I recognized Frau from Austin Powers Goldmember and the other films.
And it was
Uh,
just Rhea Perlman.
yeah, it was just Rhea Perlman. I just
To be fair, what you were doing was 6 degrees of separation because Rhea Perlman is married to Danny DeVito, and
Yes.
Danny DeVito played Mini-Me in Austin Powers Goldmember.
see.
Hey, Goldmember.
I was
Hey,
skipping a couple of
Goldmember.
steps, but I was there as soon as I saw an old lady, and I was like, Goldmember.
Oh, do you normally do that with old ladies? You just
Yes.
walk by them on the street and go, wait, hold on, because there was an old lady in the movie prior to that. So did you look at her and go, hey, is that Frau? And they're, oh, wait, no, that's just an old lady.
Yeah, that one was just an old lady.
That was just an
I
old
do it whenever I'm at the bus depot as well. I'm just sitting waiting for a bus, and I'm like, Goldmember. And
Do you scream at old ladies in the grocery store?
yeah, who doesn't?
Do you do that, Tom?
It's
Do you
2023.
It's 2023. We're allowed
It
to
is
scream
my God-given right to yell Goldmember at old ladies by the fresh produce
Wait, you
aisle.
just scream at them? You don't even do the song?
Yeah, sometimes it depends.
Hey, go member. Hey, go member. And then the ladies look at you like, what is this? What has this generation done to us? What did they do to us?
They should drop another bomb, but we're getting ahead of
Oh
ourselves.
my goodness. I'll tell you one thing, Tom. This week at the box office, there ain't been no bombs.
No bombs. Dead silent.
Well, maybe Tom Cruise with his worst second week drop ever, or second worst drop. Whatever. Tom Cruise was last week.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise is so last week. We're talking about Barbie now.
Yes. Shall we
Tom,
talk about Barbie now? We kind of got sidetracked.
We got sidetracked. Let's talk about Barbie. I will fill in here. Barbie is about the Barbie doll.
Yes.
And we're in Barbie land, and it's wonderful, and it's pink, and it's like an acid dream. It's just wild. It's like somebody took Cat in the Hat and went, "What if that looked good?" And you get Barbie.
Hey, what are you saying?
I'm saying a lot. I'm saying a lot. I'm picking a fight right now, and I will happily pick a fight.
You're just pooping on all the Mike Myers
Cat in the Hat pooped on
cinematic
itself.
universe.
Cat in the Hat pooped on itself. Let's be honest here.
It kind of did.
It kind of did.
It kind of pooped, tried to run away from it, slipped on a banana peel, and then just started falling and rolling around in it, and was like, "Oh, how could this have happened?"
See, I wish I could have seen it do that because that would have made it funnier.
That
than
would
the
have been
actual film.
funnier.
Barbie, I don't know, she's a doll, and then she starts having thoughts of death,
Mm-hmm.
and then she goes to the real world because Kate McKinnon says, "No, you got to go to the real world, otherwise you're gonna get the worst thing ever. You're gonna get cellulite,
Mm-hmm.
and you're gonna have thoughts of death, and you're gonna be depressed, and it's the worst thing ever." And I'm like, "Oh shit, okay." So basically, the worst thing that a Barbie doll can imagine is being a human.
Yes.
Which, fair enough. So Barbie goes to the real world, and then Ken, played by Ryan Gosling, in the defining role of
Of a
his
generation.
of the generation and also of his career, travels with her, and they go to the real world, and they discover, oh my goodness, Barbie didn't fix the world. Barbie did not make sure that women were equal to men.
Spoilers.
Spoilers. Barbie is equally as confused. Ken is confused.
There's
Because-
men on horses.
Ken's confused because there's men on horses, but Ken's confused because people respect him, and somebody asked him the time, and he thought that was the coolest thing. And honestly, I respect the hell out of that. So there's wacky hijinks. Will Ferrell tries to put her back in a box, both literally and metaphorically, figuratively. And then there's a mother and her daughter, and they go on the wacky adventure as well. And at the end of it, they all learn it's all about family.
Was that it?
That was what the film was trying to get across. The theme of family. It's about family. Isn't every movie about family? Isn't that what every
Yeah.
big budget movie's about? That's what Oppenheimer's about. Oppenheimer's about family.
It's also about family.
They built a town.
Yeah.
It's all about family. I don't know. I don't know. Ryan
Well,
Gosling.
it's a bit more. It's less of the family as a whole, and it's more the relationship between the mother and the daughter.
It's about family.
The dad was doing Duolingo in his 2 scenes. Like,
You know
he's
what?
not a titular part of it.
You know what? That was the only male character in the whole movie where they went, he's there, and we're fine with him. They didn't make any comment on him. They didn't make any. Well, I said they didn't make any jokes at his expense. They were both.
He
they
was
were
entirely a joke.
They were both Duolingo jokes, but that just the men in this movie are rarely maniacal maniacs. They are simply silly little himbos who just don't know what they're doing, and so the women have to come in and go, "You're being a douche nozzle," and they go, "Oh my goodness, you're right." As soon as I found out the patriarchy wasn't about horses, I wasn't really that interested anyway, and that's the movie.
There's worse ways to spend 2 hours.
There's worse ways to spend 2
It was
hours.
quite enjoyable.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I liked the soundtrack. I liked Helen Mirren. Margot Robbie was good. Ryan Gosling was excellent. Give him the Oscar.
Yeah, there was nobody that really gave a sour performance in it. There's
No,
nothing
was
that
really good.
nothing that really took anything down. I think by the end, the ending where it was the big swell. We talked about it off the pod. That sounded so pretentious. Off the pod.
Off the pod.
We talked about it already, but the
Tom, you're gonna get us cancelled and not for any good reason.
I know I'm going to be a waste of space.
Oh.
Like a doll in a box. I tie it back.
Oh no.
Horribly. But no, the line about mothers stand still so that daughters can look back and see how far they've come was like a very strong line that I was like, that hit me in the gut as well, even though it's a line. There's so much of this that feels so targeted at that relationship between a mother and a daughter. As a guy sitting in the theater, I don't feel like I'm the intended mark, but I'm still like, stuff's still hitting. Things are still hitting home, and there's an emotional beat that you can still feel.
There's a difference between being able to sit there, and I'm sure we both in the cinema went, that's a great line. We can appreciate the power of the line without it really having... It's not the same as, a father-son dynamic, which we can relate to a lot more.
It's not like us watching Springsteen and crying at 2 a.m.
Yes, it's not like us watching Springsteen on Broadway and going, oh, I totally get that, where he talks about him going into the bar and all the patrons just like towering giants over him. That's the stuff that
hits us.
That's manly stuff right there. That's for
these
the
are
man.
manly tears.
But no, I think you're absolutely right. It's again, I went to see it with my girlfriend Sam. This is gonna be a recurring thing on the podcast. So, did you know I have a girlfriend? And I could clearly see that while I was appreciating it and I was having a good time, this was having a much bigger impact on her. She has said that she's been waiting on this since 2019. For the people that have been waiting for this, there's plenty of art that is for specific people. It's in the same way that there is art that is made primarily for children. There's films that we could not possibly really grapple with. That deal with aging and death, and while we may think that it hits us, it will most likely hit us much harder when we have more time behind us than in front.
Yeah,
art is consistently made for a subsection of people. That can be a large or a small, but art very rarely plays to everyone in the same way. I will say it's definitely made for women. It is a woman's movie through and through. It doesn't mean men can enjoy it. I don't know if I 100% agree with the sense of the female gaze, but that goes to boring film school theory of there is no such thing as a female gaze, it's all male gaze because cinema was invented through the lens of men. All boring stuff.
We keep the intelligence level of our conversations to what you would have sitting at the bar 3 pints in. We don't have to go too far into male gaze or like who was the guy that was famous about like method acting? Stanislavski. We're not going to look into the thing into that.
Oh, you mean Jared Leto?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, no.
The Jared Leto method.
The Jared Leto method. Yes.
Shit.
Shit. You missed a golden opportunity.
God damn it.
You give me the right answer, but not the right answer.
Fuck. I had a joke and I realized it afterwards.
God damn.
Okay.
But yeah, and simple words.
It was great. It was great. Is that all we really have to say on Barbie?
Whoa. Yeah. Why? Yeah.
Is that all we... Oh my goodness. Okay.
It's short
Barbie.
and simple.
Recommended. Again, it's not for us.
Yeah. I love the idea of every single review at the end of this. We just be like, and our final take is, go watch it yourself. Figure out your own opinion. Yep. We've talked about what we liked and disliked. You can figure out if you liked it yourself.
It's the same thing with... whenever movies like Black Panther were coming out and the female fronted big blockbusters and everyone was going, oh, what if these fail and this, that and the other. And ultimately somebody said it best whenever they said, listen, we know that we've reached full equality whenever minorities, women, LGBTQ people, whenever they can have meh to pretty bad movies as well and nobody cares.
Yeah.
Because the straight white dudes, they have had plenty of terrible, awful crap as well as amazing awesomeness. So once we get to the point where we can just look at Barbie and go, that was solid, That was
Yeah,
great.
that was solid.
It's at the moment where everything is so important because it has to be.
Yeah.
You kind of have to make your thoughts known on it, because if you don't, they might not make more of them, and then we just go right back to where we started. So I say, awesome. This is great. If Barbie becomes, I don't know if Barbie can really become a massive like film franchise out
Not
of this
really.
film. It doesn't seem like it was made to be like a Marvel movie or a DC movie. It's a lot more in relation to an Oppenheimer, where it's like one and done. Like you don't really do another one after this.
But it becomes a vote of confidence for directors like Greta Gerwig
Yes.
and others like her to be, for people who are financing these and like bigger studios to be like, this is equally as viable of a project to finance than any other film that's coming up or that are asking me for money.
Well, that's what this weekend has showed, is that you can have a movie that is female fronted, female directed, female written, just a very strong female vision, and people of all ages, all genders, all ethnicities will flock to see it, because it's
good.
It brings you back to, early 2000s, late 90s kind of rom-coms, where it's fun, it's flashy, and it's just, again, I think the big word is fun.
Yes.
It's a lot of fun. Does it also have that metatextual commentary on itself? Yes. Does the fun and the metatextual commentary always gel? No. But I don't think it necessarily has to, because it reaches that audience. It excites them and they have fun with it. And I think that's really all that matters. Because again, we don't need 10 out of 10, the greatest film to ever be made. We just need a really fun movie that people flock to see. And it's the same thing with Oppenheimer, where they go, hey, people will also flock to see this 3-hour long R-rated
War crime.
War crime. People will flock to see this. I think it was just nice to see cinemas packed again. My Oppenheimer screening was packed. My Barbie screening, which was on a Sunday, it was a subtitled screening. So I thought, I'll not book until the last minute. I'm sure not a lot of people will be there. And I'm sure there was a lot of people in there that just booked it because it was the only screening at 3:20 on a Sunday.
Yeah.
But it was still packed. And there was people of all ages. They were all dressing up. They just looked like they have the best time. And it was good to see people having a good time at the cinema again. It wasn't just you and an elderly person just going there because it's dark and they can take a nap. They were having fun.
That's my cinema experience.
That's been my cinema experience for ages. What was the last film we went to see together?
Jesus. I can't
Asteroid City?
Oh, Asteroid City, yeah.
That was fairly empty.
That was kind of, yeah. That was in the Odeon. Yeah, that was quite...
Well, that was empty.
Not a lot of people there.
We went to see Guardians 3. That was also...
It was quite empty.
That was pretty empty, which you're like, oh my God. Like, when a Marvel movie can't... And that was the same thing for Black Panther. That was the same thing for Quantumania. All these things. Just empty. So to see cinemas actually...
Yeah. Whenever I was buying my tickets online, they actually had a percentage of how many of the seats were full at the time of booking.
Mm-hmm.
And for Barbie, I saw them opening night, both of them. I did the Barbieheimer back to back. There was 67% of Barbie seats were already bought by the time I was getting mine, and 73% of Oppenheimer was already bought. So I was pretty much stuck to like the first 3 rows. And
did they fill out from people just going and buying their ticket right then and there? Did the
yeah. A lot of them. There was people in those rows once I sat down as well. So like there was a good crowd. I was lucky I didn't get the very front row though. I have seen the Twitter pictures of like what the front row of Oppenheimer looks like, and it looks so scary.
That's the weird thing with the IMAX screening, because it's the same thing if you go into a regular screening. They usually have the seats that are flat and then the seats that rise up at an angle. In an IMAX screen, there are no flat seats. It's just you go in and the screen's here, and then it's maybe 12 feet, and then the seats just go very steeply up, which it's meant to give you that feeling of like you can't just sit and stare directly at the IMAX screen. You've got to be able to look up. And we went to see Avatar: The Way of Water together, and I think that was just an immense experience. We had wonderful seats. It was 3D IMAX. The sound system was lovely. That to me is the experience of cinema. going to see something like Barbie, I saw Oppenheimer. I did not see it in IMAX. All the IMAX screens were
Disgusting.
all the IMAX screens were sold out, which they were also for Avatar. So again, IMAX seems to be becoming more and more the way that people want to see their films, because
Yeah.
I don't know, did I ever tell you the screening that I had years and years ago seeing The Hateful Eight?
No.
It was in the OMA cinema, the old OMA cinema. It's no longer functioning, but and it was already not the best whenever I went to see Hateful Eight in about 2015. And it's a movie that is filmed in a very wide screen. It's like Panavision, super wide screen.
CinemaScope.
CinemaScope, exactly. The way they did it, and of course, that your regular cinema screen, you're going to have to really, a lot of the top and bottom isn't going to be shown. They didn't do that, so the sides of the frame, they filled it top to bottom, but that meant the sides of the frame were cut off. So like the credits always came in the bottom left hand corner. Half the credits were cut off, and that's when I knew the film's 3 hours long. I was in for half the experience because they cut off half.
That's a wild ride.
And at that point, I think I was like, "Oh, they don't care about us," but I'm sure the bigger cinema chains will care. But I've been to movies now where like, if it's not IMAX, I don't really think they care. They've got some young teenager working the booths. They don't care. It's whatever. Nobody shoots on film anymore, and films aren't shown on film anymore. So is it any wonder why people don't go anymore? Because it's like, you got your TV. I said this to you. We're not talking about Barbie anymore, by the way. Go see it. Maybe don't take your very young children. I don't think they'll like it as much. I don't think the kids really.
There's a couple of jokes that would go over the head. There's not a lot of haha man fall down that we enjoy, or even woman fall down.
There's more genital jokes than I expected.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're like a teenager, I think teenage girls will really enjoy it. And I think from Up, I think you'll really enjoy it. But don't maybe don't take your young kids. But then again, young kids are different, because I will happily say, take your young kid to see RoboCop. They'll love it. So maybe don't listen to me on that.
Do whatever you want.
Stream it whenever it comes out on Blu-ray, whatever. I don't care.
Heels are on the ground.
Anyway, I wanted to bring up for Oppenheimer the fact that, and I said this to you off the pod as well. Off the pod, Tom.
I hate that I said that.
Yeah, you're welcome. Oh, yes, absolutely. I said to you that there was a point in my screening, which again was not IMAX, but our IMAX screen would have been digital IMAX and not even the full IMAX anyway. So it's, I think it's called Limax because it's lies. You live on a throne of lies and deceit. Cineworld, I'm calling you out. There was a scene where it was so dark. And it was basically, they were lit by candles, basically. And it was out in the wilderness. And it was Matt Damon and Cillian Murphy. And it was meant to be like pitch black. And it was just blue. Because I don't know if projectors in America, where they maybe care more. I don't know if it looked different. Maybe the IMAX looked different, a higher quality projector maybe. But the way I was seeing it, I thought to myself, man, if I could just watch this on like a nice big 65-inch OLED in the comfort of my own home, nice big surround sound system. I'm like, this would be probably a better experience than watching it in the cinema where the guy next to me kept taking out his phone and couldn't decide when he was interested or not. I think it might have been a better experience. So whenever people say the death of cinema, I go, yes, people are going to the cinema and it's nice to see them going to the cinema. I think they're going for the meme and for the event of it. Rather than enjoying the cinematic experience. Because I'll be honest, even me at this point, I just want a nice OLED that'll give me my nice deep inky blacks.
Jack, we're not buying a new TV, okay?
Tom, I just want an OLED
Jack,
TV. That's all I want.
You putting it online is not going to make me change my opinion. The TV we have is perfectly fine. We're not getting an OLED.
Tom, it's a 50-inch LED TV, okay?
Jack, that's perfectly fine.
It doesn't get the deep inky blacks, okay? It's also not bright enough, okay? Whenever the sun streams in, it's just terrible.
Jack, I don't want to hear your bullshit about
this.
It's
just terrible.
Jack, please.
It's just terrible. Okay,
we don't need a new
comment
TV.
down below if I should get a 65-inch OLED TV.
There's only going to be one comment, and it's going to be by you, and it's like, hey, guys, love the pod. Guess I'm saying that. Yeah. Oh, Jack should.
Tom, you shot yourself.
Damn it. Jack should definitely get the TV, and you're going to write that, and then you're going to comment under it as well, and be like, "Oh boy, yeah, somebody agrees," and I'm just going to be here, and I'm going to be upset because we're not getting it. I forgot why you brought it up in the first place. Oh, it was like the Inky Blues.
Inky Blues?
Inky Blues.
No, Tom, there was blues in the cinema. I don't want to see the Inky Blues. I want to see the Inky Blacks.
Blues here, and I don't want them.
I don't want Inky Blues here, okay? Inky Blues in the cinema. I want Inky Blacks here, okay?
No. But no, I remember.
Can we get Iggy Pops?
I knew there was an Iggy Pop joke coming
Iggy
there, and I
Azaleas?
just didn't know where to go with it. And it's good to see that you don't know where to go with it too. You just said it, and
The
then you just
Wiggles?
rolled with it. But no, I never
Cold
told
spaghetti,
you.
cold spaghetti.
There's a guy answered his phone next to me in Oppenheimer.
He answered his phone?
Yeah, I was just watching. I can't remember. I think it was like halfway through, and I think it was his phone was on like silent or vibrate, and I think they were waiting to like meet up with someone,
Okay.
and he just pulled it out like halfway through the film and just started talking into it. Luckily, not for that long. He just started talking about, okay, right. Hung up, and then got up and left. And I was like, what's going on here?
In the middle of Oppenheimer?
In the middle of Oppenheimer.
What was happening
before
during
the
it?
bomb went off? They would have been in out in the desert.
The bomb goes off at like the 2 hour mark. So
Yeah,
he left like just after the halfway mark.
probably around then. But he came back, talked on the phone, got up, left, just saw that happen for a while, and then he comes back, and then just sits down and continues watching. I don't know what happened. It's the great mysteries of the world. But I completely forgot about that until you brought up your boy starting to look up the Wikipedia, trying to look at Snapchat while watching Oppenheimer.
I think I'm used to people in the cinema whenever they want to go on their phone. I'm used to them kind of taking, like in school, they take the phone out like
Very
by their
subtle.
leg and they kind of look down because they understand that a dark room, because like a cinema projector screen is only like 50 to 100 nits of brightness. It's not very bright, but in a dark room it looks bright. So a phone that can get up to like 2,000 nits is like blinding. To be fair, he didn't have the brightness up all the way,
No.
but it was still bright enough to where I was like, what the fuck? And he had it right to his face. He had it right to his face, and he was just he didn't get a message on Snapchat.
Yeah.
He took the phone out to check that he had no messages on Snapchat.
It's I think you should leave. It was like, I could sit on my phone for hours.
I can sit on my phone for, what have they done to us? What did they do to us? But to be fair, I respect the hell out of him because he did the thing that I think only movies can do. I don't think any other I don't think TV shows can do it. I don't think games can do it. Only movies can do this. Because Oppenheimer is a who's who of famous white actors.
Yes.
So every time somebody new would appear on screen, you would just see him go, Jesus Christ, is that Casey Affleck? And he would go, is that Casey Affleck? And he'd look at the screen, that's Casey Affleck. And he'd point, I saw him point every time. That's Casey Affleck. And then he'd sit back and he'd put his hands crossed on his chest and go, yeah.
Yeah. Good
As-
job.
Literally as if like an action scene has just occurred and he just went, mate, look at that. That's so awesome. Oh, yeah. But it's just, is that Casey Affleck? Is that Matt Damon? Is that the boy who played Freddie Mercury? Oh, that's good. Oh, that's good. It's like it's like he never watched the
Is that
trailer.
your boy from Drake and Josh?
Man, I swear to God, it was fantastic. I didn't see your boy who plays Roderick in Diary of a Wimpy Kid.
I don't think I saw him either.
Yeah, apparently he's in it, and Christopher Nolan is aware of Roderick rules.
Okay.
I didn't see him in the movie.
Nah, I'm trying to think where he would have been.
Although, to be fair, Diary of a Wimpy Kid came out like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
So he probably looks a little bit older and probably doesn't have the scraggly hair because it's the 40s.
That's true.
But that was something.
I told you already. We haven't actually gone into an explanation about what Oppenheimer's about. But
Look up the Wikipedia.
yeah, read a book. It's based on a book. Read a book.
I don't know. I kind of base off like what your general audience, not the Zoomers, not the TikTok crowd, but like just your general overall audience. Does my mum know who this person is?
Yeah.
My mum knows who J. Robert Oppenheimer is, and so I go, yes, people know who Oppenheimer is.
That's fair.
But then again, maybe not. I would love to meet somebody who has no idea who Oppenheimer is, has never watched a trailer, and doesn't know history. So if I said to them, "Do you know about the bomb? Do you know about nuclear warfare?" and they go, "I don't know what that is," and then sit them down and see what they would think of this movie, would they just get bored, or would they go, "Oh my god, this actually happened"?
Yeah. To be fair, I didn't realize how scattered my understanding of the whole series in World War II with the nuclear bombs and all of that. I didn't realize how scattered my own understanding of it was because there are so many fragments of information in Oppenheimer that I realized I already knew without correlating it directly to Oppenheimer's work. So in a weird Slumdog Millionaire approach. I knew who Richard Feynman was, which was the guy playing the bongos for anybody watching the film. Richard Feynman wrote a book about his time being a physicist, and he talks about being at Los Alamos while they invented the nuclear bomb. I listened to this audiobook and completely forgot that Richard Feynman worked on the nuclear bomb with Oppenheimer. A mix of those stuff, the Trinity site. For some reason, I had the understanding that there was a lot of nuclear research being done in America at the time. I didn't realize the Trinity site and Los Alamos was like the only place in America researching it. So again, in my idea, I thought Richard Feynman was studying it. He was probably off in one state, Oppenheimer was in another guy was elsewhere. I didn't realize they were all working on it together, all of them most likely in Los Alamos. So looking back, it's actually watching the film actually put a lot of pieces together so that my understanding of the research into nuclear weapons actually makes more sense because I got to see it played out in one coherent narrative. So I actually came back learning more from stuff I already knew, and I thought that was cool. That was probably not intentional by Nolan, but fair play. You helped me in physics, like 10 years too late.
I'm on my second cigarette now.
Yeah, we heard.
Yeah.
So what was it 4?
I'm just gonna cut the sound out now. Just whenever you say that,
Yep.
you're gonna sound like a crazy person.
Hold on. Well, what's the stakes if you don't hit number 4? What's the punishment? This is YouTube, baby.
For the next podcast, since nothing is coming out of any worth. Of course, after the Meg 2, we have to see the Meg 2. After, I'll tell you what, Tom. If I don't hit 4, we don't have to watch the Meg 2, and our very next episode will be us talking about the Austin Powers trilogy.
Okay.
However,
Deal.
if I do 4, if I manage to hit the 4 cigarettes and I finish the 4th one before the podcast ends, and you can't race towards the conclusion, Tom, because I see you now, you're staring at it. We have to watch the Meg 2. We have to discuss the Meg 2.
Okay.
However, we still will do the Austin Powers afterwards. So basically, the forfeit for you, if I manage to do it, is just, you still get what you want, you just have to watch the Meg 2.
You know what? That's a fair enough deal.
That's a fair enough
I'll
deal.
shake on that.
There we go. It's really the story of somebody who is just very interested in the science of it. He's just very interested in his work. It just so happened that his work could create a bomb that could end war, but could also end the world. The whole movie, you're seeing, oh, the war ended, but there's still the Japanese. Oh, and then, well, we bombed the Japanese. Oh, but we still have the Russians. And it just the goalpost keeps moving. Even when everyone around him says, no, we shouldn't do this. He goes, but we have to. We got to finish the work. And then he's just like...
It's the famous Fallout quote, war never changes.
I'll do you one better. War, what is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Say it again, y'all.
Yes, we are a people of quotes.
I don't know who says that. Who sings that again?
I don't know.
What is it?
You're going to get us copyright striked.
Absolutely nothing.
You're too on point.
Man, Christopher Nolan missed an absolute beat there, having that be the end credits.
God.
Oppenheimer's got blood on his hands, absolutely blood.
Yeah, I agree.
On his
Oppenheimer
hands.
would have been a better film if it was a musical.
I would have loved that.
Yeah. Oh, I did have a thought that I wanted to ask you on the pod. I don't like saying it, but I keep saying it because it's funny.
You're not intentionally doing any of that.
The Oppenheimer is a film for the most part. The way we got it is Christopher Nolan's film. How do you feel the same topic would be done differently with a different director? Like, who is another director you think would have an interesting take on the same subject matter?
Well, funny enough, I think we mentioned on the last podcast that we recently watched the Hayao Miyazaki 4-part documentary.
Yeah.
And I saw a tweet before Twitter is named X, and we have to start calling them X's.
We're not calling it that.
Uh,
That is the stance of Hecklin Hollywood.
that's the stand. That's the Heckle Hollywood takes a stand against Elon Musk and his inability to call anything not X.
We still call it Twitter.
Isn't that the reason he got fired from PayPal? Because he just couldn't get over the X thing. He just really wanted to call something X.
Probably. Well, no, his company was originally called X, and then X and PayPal merged, but they kept the PayPal name.
But he really wanted it to be X.
Yeah.
And they were like, no, you idiot. No, I think that tweet was pretty on point because it said there is a point where a director will make a film about a specific subject, and the director's interest in themes and visuals and just everything coalesce with that subject so perfectly that it can't not help but make an exceptional work of art. And somebody they put up, I think it was The Wind Rises.
Yes.
With Hayao Miyazaki, and where those kind
The
of
one with the planes.
there you go. The people and the subject matter just cross perfectly. So unlike any other film he's done, I think Oppenheimer is a perfect subject for Nolan. In the same way that Oppenheimer is somebody who is somebody obsessed with just keeping this going. Because again, I think we said it as well. Oppenheimer is a person. The film goes to great lengths to show that he was not the sole mind. It goes to great lengths to even show that he was at some points going, no, well, this can't be done. And then somebody else on his team goes, actually, I just did it. Mm-hmm. So he was not like the sole mind behind it. It was a group effort that created this thing.
Yeah.
But he was the person that really spearheaded it and made sure it could happen. He was the one that said, let's go out to this place, which was a place they camped as a kid. That's why he knew this place out in the middle of nowhere. That was like miles and miles of just desert. You couldn't interrupt anybody. He was the one that said, we got to build a small town because if we can't get the best scientists, if they can't bring their families, they'll never come otherwise. So he was really the one that understood, as a scientist himself, he understood to get the best. I know how to get the best because I know how they think. And I think Christopher Nolan might be the same way, because Christopher Nolan always comes off as somebody who's he's not a Tarantino. He's not, he's not a Spike Lee. He's very somber. You look at, if you look at an Oppenheimer and you look at Christopher Nolan, who also wears suits all the time.
Yeah.
They're very similar. And I think it's in the same way that Oppenheimer, reaches for this idea of, we want to get this project done and we want to, set this off. Not for the spectacle of it. What is an explosion if not science made into this big visceral thing?
This is still so far out of the current understanding of what science is that the ability to pull it off, not even to win a war, but the ability to pull it off to expand the horizons of what people understand science and our world is scientific achievement.
Yeah. And I think Nolan's the same with his commitment to not only shooting on the most high quality format possible on IMAX film, but also his commitment to shooting practically, shooting with not CGI, but visual effects and, having more classic techniques. He even says himself, whenever you cut to a CGI shot, a completely CGI shot, yes, they can be very good and they can be very exceptional, and yes, they can be even awe-inspiring. There's something that you can't beat about knowing, even if it doesn't completely convince you the same way a CGI shot would, knowing that something's actually there, it's happening there in camera, that provides a visceral effect that you can't quite get with a completely CGI shot. Nolan is kind of on the back burner going, no, but I'm going to push what a modern audience can possibly think of whenever I say there is no CGI in this. And they go, how though? You think of the ending shot
you built a bomb.
It's not, to be honest, it's not even that. The beauty of that sequence is not the visual of it, but it's everything around it. It's the editing, it's the build up, it's the music or lack thereof, it's the sound design, it's everything that make that such a visceral sequence. I was thinking more very end of the film, and it cuts between Cillian Murphy's face and this shot of the earth shrouded in darkness, and you just see just mass explosions and the earth burning, and you go, that's not a CGI shot. Yeah. Now, that can be visual effects, but it gets your mind going where you know that what you're seeing is not something created in a computer. To get back to that original question, it would not be anywhere near the same movie. Directors get a lot of flack for their idiosyncrasies and their, the things that they tend to go back to, and, their faults as well as their strengths. I don't think people are endlessly creative. I think everybody eventually falls into a lot of reoccurring tropes and ideas that they continue to return to. But I think that's what makes it interesting, and I don't think anybody can argue that something like Oppenheimer is not Nolan trying to get away from what he's known for. It's synthesizing it,
Mm-hmm.
and it's giving you the most Nolan idea of what an Oppenheimer biopic can be.
Yeah.
And you go, oh well, it just makes sense. It feels like he's been
It feels like
building.
only he could make it that way.
It feels like only he could have made a film about Oppenheimer and have it be this big and this successful and this enthralling.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I don't think maybe since The Social Network
Yeah.
has a biopic and director, a biopic subject and a director been so perfectly linked in that way.
Yeah.
Which I think is interesting. Again, the idea of Fincher taking on Mark Zuckerberg, who is a famously not very emotional person, and making this film that is kind of this digital cold
Yeah.
aspect to it, but really committing to that. I think it's a similar sort of way, and I've not seen The Wind Rises, but I suppose knowing now, more about Hayao Miyazaki, do you see that kind of?
See, I haven't seen The Wind Rises
No?
either,
Okay.
but I recently watched Porco Rosso, which has very similar themes. Like, quick synopsis of Porco Rosso. It's right after World War One in the quiet times in like small islands off the coast of Italy between World War One and World War Two, where things seem calm, but a lot is brewing in the background that'll lead to fascism in places like Italy. But in this kids' film, it sets up such a melancholic backdrop to have an idea of we have a character we have a person with the face of a pig in an Italian town where everybody else is regular people, and the only way you can get that this makes sense is that he saw something in the war and he came back a changed man, literally. He came back as a pig, which, with a lot of meaning and dissecting,
Is that trying to come across the idea of people who came back from the war
yeah,
visibly scarred by it and how they had to kind of readjust to life after the war?
yeah, and even there was like
Where does this take place, by the way? Does this take place in
it takes place. It's like in these small islands off the coast of Italy. Like it's because it's
off the coast of it? Okay,
yeah, it's
cool.
all off the coast of Italy. They go to Milan for a bit of it, but what's interesting, there's a great video on it on YouTube where they break down a lot of these themes. But the interesting thing they pointed out is a lot of the areas that they do travel to, although it is drawn and you can recognize this is Italy, the way people were acting at that time, a lot of people would say there's like that is not what Italy looked like.
Mhm.
But the guy says in the video, this is very close to how people acted in the 1970s in Japan.
Mhm.
And Hayao Miyazaki is actually taking, or it seems like he's taking a lot more inspiration of what his younger years felt like in the quiet after World War II, where Japan started to have it. Oh, it was a good while after, but like the economic boom of the 1970s and I believe 80s of Japan, and he uses the decadence and the kind of like just how lively everybody was to go about shopping, drinking, going to movies, and uses that to have as a lively backdrop to this movie about coming home from war.
Mhm.
And kind of a long walk for a short path, but that continues to show how much the inspiration and the life of a director can have on the story they're telling.
I think it's a similar thing. You caught a bit of the Spielberg documentary I watched recently. And they go into kind of great lengths about how during the 80s, Spielberg made The Color Purple, and how he kind of admits that maybe he wasn't the best director for that. So going into the 90s, whenever he made Schindler's List, again, after he 10 years prior had made the Nazis a presence, but also a bit of a joke as well. I mean, it's Indiana Jones. It's not exactly a horror film. It's not meant to show the atrocities. It's a fun action adventure movie.
It was an easy bad guy at that time.
An easy bad. I mean, the Nazis are always going to be an easy bad guy. I mean, you can always go back to the Nazis. The new one goes back to the Nazis because they're an easy bad guy. They're not the Russians. You know, there's always a bit more it's not black and white once you get into the Cold War and things
Yeah.
like that. But the Nazis are very easy. Like, oh, the Nazis are pure evil. So I find it interesting that whenever he went to Schindler's List, that was definitely, I mean, it's in black and white. It's 3 hours long. It's definitely Spielberg's serious attempt to grapple as a Jewish man himself, grapple with that history that maybe because he talks about and it's in the Fablemans as well, the Jewish heritage that he didn't like because he was bullied as a kid for being Jewish. He hated that part of himself. So Schindler's List was a way to kind of reconnect with that and also connect with, I suppose, that part of himself that he tried to escape from through filmmaking, while also still being very much a Spielberg film. I find it similar to Martin Scorsese made a movie called Silence,
Okay.
which, funny enough, was the film he followed up Wolf of Wall Street with, which I think is possibly the most dude bro movie ever. I think
Yeah.
everybody owns a copy of that on DVD.
It is such a pre and post nut clarity of filmography.
I think that's the thing of it is you think about the Wolf of Wall Street, how big of a success that was, and how much of a grip that still has on pop culture today. And then you go to Silence, and nobody talks about Silence now. You don't hear it in the pop culture conversation, and it's a bit interesting, especially when you think of Scorsese as a filmmaker. You think gangsters, you
Yeah.
think you think Sympathy for the Devil. You think of very, very specific things. Going to Silence, it can seem, oh, this feels like a completely different filmmaker. It doesn't, because you then look at it and go, oh, hold on a minute. There's always that sense of Catholicism in Scorsese's work. The gangsters always talk about their faith. They always have that home life. They always talk about their mother. They always talk about God.
Yeah.
God is always a big thing. And that sense of Catholic guilt always shows itself. Silence is his way of going, okay, if we're not talking about Jesus as a person, and we're not talking about it kind of occasionally on the side, let's really deal with two priests going on this pilgrimage, and let's face it head on. And I know he found that a very difficult film to make, because whenever directors kind of strip away the action adventure or the high fantasy, or they strip away the fun, and they just kind of have to sit down and grapple with their own thoughts and feelings on a particular subject matter. In terms of Nolan, there's a scene in Inception. Cobb's wife, Leonardo DiCaprio's character, she basically commits suicide. She jumps out of a window, and he has to see it. And people have kind of brought up, okay, why is it that the women in your films, they don't tend to be in them much? And I don't know if he's ever stated it. I think maybe he has, but I think it essentially comes down to the worst thing that Nolan can imagine. The biggest fear that he has is losing his wife and kids. Inception is a movie about Cobb not having his wife and kids, and at the end, whenever it's the spinning top,
Yeah.
he's with his wife and kids, and the movie keeps going, and it focuses on that spinning top, and then it ends, and everyone goes, "Oh my God, is he in the dream, or is it reality?" And Nolan says it basically doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It basically, because Cobb doesn't care.
Yeah.
We focus on it because we're interested in it, but Cobb doesn't. He's walked away from it. If he cared,
Yeah.
he would have sat there. But he's with
He
his
doesn't
wife.
care if it's a fantasy. He doesn't care if
Exactly.
it's real. He just wants it.
He just wants his wife and kids, and I think that's a similar thing here that you see in Oppenheimer, where there's the great sequence where he finds out that what was the character's name? Florence Pugh's character.
Oh, I'm not sure.
But she has committed suicide. But I don't know if you noticed it, but there is a shot of gloved hands.
Yeah.
That, from what I read up on it, could possibly also be referencing the theory that she was murdered.
Yeah, no, I remember the fact that he brings up that the note she left wasn't signed.
Yeah.
As like those are the thoughts going through his head. It was like, was this person? Yeah. Did she take her own life, or was this pushed onto her by this weird dark figure that seems to be just putting pressure and making Oppenheimer's life and the life of people close to him harder and harder.
The thing that you could also look at it as is that dark figure him?
Okay.
Because she killed herself after he had said, "I can't see you anymore."
Yeah.
And in that sense, whenever you say such a definitive end, you set a definitive end to that, and then this tragic thing happens, does that then does he then go, I may as well have done it myself?
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
it's on me in that sense. So you get some double meaning in there. You get multiple meanings from that, but I think that's again, that's the same thing coming up where the worst thing you can think of is a loved one is a loved one dying and you not having that anymore. So
Yeah.
Nolan's protagonists always seem to have this. And again, um, Bruce loses Rachel in The Dark Knight, so that even in the big superhero fair, it continues to come up. Matthew McConaughey is literally at parallel universes away from his daughter, even though she's right there in
Yeah.
front of him, and that's the level that it comes up where these big massive things are happening, but really the biggest fear is, oh my god, what if I can't talk to my daughter? What if I can't talk to my wife again?
Yeah.
What if I lose them? So to have something like this in Oppenheimer is interesting because Oppenheimer still has his wife at the end, and his wife actually ends up becoming his aide in the
Yeah.
end, and she ends up helping, although he still gets his security status revoked. It was revoked the day before it was due to expire anyway.
Oh, really?
When you look at it that way, it's a weirdly nice ending for once from a Nolan film, because normally they don't get that. And although Oppenheimer still has those thoughts of, no, what have I done? He knows he still can go back to his wife. And yeah, to be fair, the last scene they have together, she says, like, you think you can be a martyr for this?
Well, what's interesting about that is, because this is often explored, the idea that Oppenheimer is becoming the stereotypical martyr because he thinks like, oh, this is the only way that he can protect his family or whatever. It's like the Dark Knight idea of Batman going off into the sunset with the bomb and
Yeah.
sacrificing himself for everyone. Oppenheimer is kind of doing something similar where he's like, I'm going to take the fall on a lot of this because if I try to push back, other people are going to get hurt. They show like with such a small glance, and I didn't realize how it would really add up, but the fact that his wife in it is like has some sort of drinking problem, and in the interview bit, she drops her bag, and like the flask rolls out, and like the one of the boys in the room immediately clocks it.
Yeah.
Like that could have been something that would be like, oh well, if Oppenheimer's going to try and push back, we can start a press the thumb
Yeah.
on the wife and her alcohol problem. And in Oppenheimer's mind, he's like, if I just fall for this now, I can protect so many people. And her coming to him and being like, you don't have to be a martyr, is actually kind of matching what you're saying about Christopher Nolan's other themes of her pretty much saying, you don't have to do this.
Yeah.
You think you have to be a martyr
Yeah.
because you can't think of anything worse than losing your family. We can't think of anything worse than losing you. So don't try to be all high and mighty. We can get through this together, even if that risks.
You kind of hit the nail on the head. You brought up Emily Blunt's character, his wife, Kitty. Kitty,
Kitty, I think.
I think her name is. There's a scene where he comes back and the baby's just crying,
Yeah.
and she is clearly just completely like disassociated.
Yeah.
And she just goes and she tries to have some sort of contact with him, and he's like, do you want to go and check on her? And he's like, I've been checking on her all day, and she just storms out.
Yeah.
And I thought that was, ironically, I think that was a very mature scene. That could have been, melodrama, like you throwing the bottle, and it's like, oh, you never cared about me, go make your bomb, no, screw you. But instead, it's a very cold, and that's where I think Nolan's style for being a bit cold really works whenever you're in that situation.
Yeah. What's interesting as well is like the wife, I think, Emily Blunt's character, I do believe never flat out says like anything in regards to like, or like her opinions on the bomb. Like you said, you're like in that scene, she doesn't turn around and go, you care more about that bomb than you care about us. No, that character knows that Oppenheimer as a person is cold, and saying something as ridiculous as you care about the bomb more than you care about me is such a waste of breath, because that's so obvious to her. She already understands. There's even the line earlier on before he leaves to start building it, or like before they form Los Alamos, where she sits there and goes, "No, no one else can do this. You can't help. You have to do it."
Yeah.
Because she understands, like with his background, his experience, him as a character will be the one to get this through. But she also understands that him doing that is going to put so many troubles in their relationship.
Yeah, and she also she understands it, but he understands it as well because he takes their baby
Yeah.
to their friend's house and says, "Listen, can you take her for a while?" And and you can tell by his voice that when he says a while, he doesn't just mean a short while. He means a while.
Yeah.
Just because of he's worried. I mean, I like that the film doesn't. It's his perspective, and he is so enveloped in his work, but he still knows that. Listen, I can't be there for her while the kid is in the mix.
Yeah.
And he even says like, "I'm sorry, you should. Yeah, can you take her?" It's like, you know what? Forget about it. It's because we're terrible people.
Yeah.
And then the friend goes, "No, terrible people don't know they're terrible."
Well, that's the thing as well. Anytime they say you have to do it, doesn't come with the pretense of like you're going to be the one to change. We know that now because we know what he makes. But everybody, you can picture that idea of like there is a grey fog of like what will be made at the end of this. Hopefully, it is some sort of bomb that can stop it, that can harness nuclear energy to stop the Germans. But they don't know to the extent what it can be done. They just know Oppenheimer is the person that's going to get, who would be able to get this done. He knows the people. Like you said, it was like he's going to be the one that comes up with the ideas of like having everybody on site in Los Alamos. If anybody is going to organize and to get
No
this
one's
from
going
the
to
starting
spearhead
line,
it
yeah,
the same way he can.
anybody else that goes to spearhead it, as we actually see with your boy talking about the hydrogen bomb,
Yeah.
and with the Germans in it as well, anybody else that's going to spearhead this is going to take a wrong turn. The only way we do this, where they're likely to be on the right path, is if somebody like Oppenheimer is at the forefront.
It's proof positive that he really shows the restraint of not showing the bomb.
Yeah.
Not showing it going off. Not showing the devastation that happens. The devastation that we see is all inside Oppenheimer's mind of what could be.
Yeah.
He is not preoccupied with... He knows the blood that is on his hands for Japan. He knows that. I don't think he needs to see that. He knows that that's the case. He knows the effects this can have. He has these very horrific visions. I mean, they're horrific. These visions that he has of people's skin melting off, of just bright light engulfing everybody, no sound, and he's stepping into charred corpses. It's horrifying because he's imagining the world. He's imagining setting off a chain of events and letting the dominoes fall to where the world destroys itself. And that is what echoes through his mind as the film comes to a close. And I think that's what we're seeing. We're seeing that level of anxiety in a man who has opened Pandora's box. He didn't drop... Truman's correct.
Yeah.
Whenever he says no one cares who made it, they care who dropped it. Ironically, now Oppenheimer is a very famous person because he made sure that his name was known, and he made sure that he fought to make sure that this could not happen on a wider scale. By doing so, he made himself the face of it. Do I think he knowledgeably went out and became one? I don't think he was intending to. I just think he knew that if he didn't step up, especially after that meeting with Truman, knowing that they were just going to keep going because they know they have this, was it absolute power corrupts absolutely?
Yeah.
Like, once you give people this power, like, you can't put that back in the box. Anytime World War III comes up, with Russia invading Ukraine, the idea of World War III going off, we live in a world now where there can't be a World War III because nuclear weapons exist. And it feels like every nation has them. So if one person decides to use them, everybody uses them and the world ends. The ending of the movie is probably one of the most horrifying that I've seen in years. because it does deal with that idea of how must a person feel knowing that they might be responsible for the end of everything, even if it's not now or tomorrow or next month.
Yeah, the beginning of the chain reaction.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter that he isn't the one that drops the bomb, he is the one that spearheaded it. He might have not been the one to come up with all these ideas, but he said yes to all of them. And that's what's horrifying.
It's interesting to wrap all that up with a single point in the film. There's the great point whenever he shows the ship in the harbor, whenever he's explaining to the scientists, where it's like there was the ship in the harbor off the coast of some place that was filled with explosives, and a leak happened, and the boat exploded off on sea, and they were like, this was the equivalent of, what was it, like 100. I was like, but I'm gonna say like 20 tons, 20 tons of explosive power happened on that boat. How do we get that into the hundreds? And even in the idea side, it's like that is just a figurative question. How do we take something that existed and how do we 5x the results? How do we 10x? And what's interesting is as they bring up the ideas, like if they do it properly, they could be in the kilotons of explosive power. But again, as you're saying, like if you reach a limit, especially with the nuclear bomb, the bomb itself might project like whatever kilotons worth of explosive power, but that bomb placed at the right or used by the wrong person at the wrong time is the end of everything. It's a stray bullet that hits somebody right in the head. Like, just because it is not the same amount of explosive power, that is enough explosive power to end everything.
There's not to relate this back to Cape shit, but that's how do you make Superman interesting?
Yeah.
Because Superman's invulnerable. You can't kill him. You can't shoot him. You can't do anything. I mean, the bullet will bounce off his eye. How do you do that? Well, if the bullet bounces off him,
who does it hit?
Who does it hit?
Yeah.
People aren't invulnerable, and that's what makes Superman interesting. Where he has all of this power, and it's Spider-Man. It's every hero. It's you have this power, but if you use it improperly, you can hurt a lot of people. You can hurt a lot more people than you're saving. And ultimately, at that point, what does that make you? Makes you the bad guy. I think it's easy sometimes for scientists to become disassociated with what they create, because ultimately their job is to just is to do the impossible. That's what happens, and we see it every year now. I mean, it feels like artificial intelligence is getting better. We're getting phones that are thinner. We're getting folding, devices, technology, science. It's just getting to a point now where 100 years ago, the stuff we have now looks like magic. And like it doesn't even compute how impressive it is, especially when you consider for the 1800, 1900 years prior, how relatively little had really happened in terms of technological and scientific innovation. And now it seems like every day we're learning more. Like, oh, what we knew last week, we don't know now. It's now it's open. So it's Oppenheimer. There we go. We swing.
Wow,
there we go.
Yay.
Levity.
Bring it back.
Levity. I know. I love how we really just zipped past Barbie, and there's so much.
I know.
There's so much in Barbie that I think a Maggie Mayfish could dissect, and we'll let them kind of go into that because that's not our area. But
we're not taking like a Hideo Kojima approach that because we're not saying a lot doesn't mean we didn't like it. Like, we enjoyed it. It was a solid 8 out of 10. We just don't believe any of our experiences or any of the things that we know are going to contribute to the conversation in a bigger way. There's going to be other people's perspectives that are going to provide more insight to this than us. So we're just going to say, hey, we recommend it. Go watch it. And then we'll talk about nuclear bombs for the remainder of the show.
I really enjoyed it. I think I ended up giving it an 8. But I know if I saw it in IMAX and I didn't see it at 10:30 at night and get out at 1:00 in the morning, I know I would be, more. And also didn't have somebody checking their Snapchat next to me.
I did. I give it a 9.
Because again, it's something that just stays with you, and the first 10, 15 minutes could be any other film's climax.
Yeah.
It's just a stunning piece of work. Bravo.
Yeah.
Bravo. Because it just keeps making you think.
But
Like-
Jack, with all that said and done, I think people aren't here to listen to review scores, to listen to us Babylon. Babylon would be a great podcast to do.
Oh, if only we restarted at the start of the year. Fuck!
If only we kept up on this.
Fuck, Brad Pitt.
What people want to know is what cigarette are you on?
This is my fourth.
Fourth. It's not done, though. What does your timer say?
2 minutes.
Okay, you got 2 minutes on that.
It's basically done.
No, that's not done. That's like you're just hitting the halfway mark.
He's
just hitting the halfway mark.
The fear of having to watch the Meg 2 is really
Yes.
That's your Oppenheimer. That's your world-ending event.
It is a world-ending event.
You're just thinking about Jason Statham on
Yeah.
a jet ski.
Yes. See, again, for all the listeners, Jack has not seen the first Meg.
I have not.
I have.
My girlfriend has. She's excited for it.
I have seen War, and I don't want him to see it.
You don't want me to see it?
I don't want you to. I want you to live your life happy, without the burden of having spent time watching the Meg and now the Meg 2. I know you're not going to watch the Meg before the Meg 2, but to watch any of them is just to put a negative point on your life.
Well, Tom, I'll be honest. I think we should sit down and watch the first Meg before we go
Nope.
see.
No, that's what- Jack, shut up and smoke.
Because you know we're gonna have to watch it now.
God damn. Thank you, everybody, for watching.
Timer's not up.
I don't care. If you enjoyed the podcast, don't forget to like and subscribe. Comment down below what you thought about Barbie and about Oppenheimer. And give us some comments on other videos that you'd like to hear us discuss. Because coming up with some films soon, there's not going to be a lot to talk about each week. So we might start looking at a back catalogue. Let us know your thoughts. Jack, you got any final words for the people?
I'm finished my fourth smoke, so next time we'll be watching the Meg 2. Fuck! For a discussion on that. So tune in for Jason Statham on jet skis and Tom having his own.
I am become Meg.
I am become jet ski, destroyer of Megs.
I am Jason Statham, destroyer of box offices.
The Meg 2 is going to make $3 billion.
In 1940s money.
And oh man, it's going to make